Today on the Daily Songwriter, we're going to go through an exercise that lets us write a song together using just our instruments and our imagination. Let's get to it. Welcome to the Daily Songwriter, the channel where we find every way to make music every single day. In this exercise, we're going to learn how to use our instruments to help us create 4 crucial elements of a brand new song: the chord progression, the rhythm, the melody, and the song structure. Now, I'm using my guitar because that's my primary instrument, but this exercise will work with any chord-capable instrument, so guitar, ukulele, piano, organ, harp, whatever you got, you do you, boo-boo. As long as it plays chords, you can follow along in today's exercise. By the end of today's exercise, we're going to have written an entire song from scratch, minus the lyrics, but we'll talk about how to fill in those blanks. And if you're looking to build on an idea that you already have, still go through this exercise because a lot of these elements can be used to build on your existing hooks and ideas that you've come up with. But I also encourage you to check out some of my other videos about how to build on existing song elements that you've created. This exercise is broken down into 3 parts. First, we're going to come up with our chord progression and rhythm together. Then we're going to grab a melody out of thin air. And finally, we'll decide on a song structure to fit all of these elements into to make a cohesive song. Enough chit chat, let's get to the music. First thing we're going to do is come up with our chord progression. You'd be amazed how much song inspiration comes from just this one musical element. Since I'm focused on a broad range of skill levels today, starting with absolute beginners, we're not going to really get into music theory today. But let me tell you that your creative space when it comes to the musicality of songwriting gets a lot wider when you start to learn about at least basic chord theory. So like your scale degrees, your major and minor chords. This allows you to quickly create your own chord progressions just by exploring the different chords within the same key. I strongly recommend you check out Gracie Terzian's video on basic chord theory. I'm going to include the link in the description below, and I'll probably pop it up in the corner as well. So you can go check that out when you get a chance. It's a really great way to invest 30 minutes of your time to learn those basics. But I want to give you a little bit of a shortcut here in case you're still trying to figure out what are some basic common chords that I might know as a beginner on my instrument. So here are some chord progressions that you can use. They're very common. They flow very well together. Feel free to just come back and pluck one of these anytime you want a quick, solid foundation to start your song on. So you can go to chord.com and go through the different chord progressions, just keep generating them until you find one that sounds appealing to you. Whether you use a progression from chord.com or use one of the chord progressions I gave you, all the next steps are the same, so we're all on the same page. So you have your chord progression. All you're gonna do is start playing it on your instrument. Experiment with different strumming patterns or different finger style patterns, however you wanna play, whatever you know how to play. Don't worry about getting fancy. It's okay to keep it simple with just a quarter note strum. You can even try arpeggiating. Whatever you do, don't go beyond your skill level on the instrument to the point where you're so focused on trying to learn and figure out the instrument that you're forgetting about writing the song. And make sure you're recording yourself as you're playing it because we really want to catch your spontaneous genius. Just play around with it for 2 or 3 minutes, and then all you're going to do is listen back to the different varieties of strumming patterns, finger picking patterns that you played, and you're going to listen to see if one appeals to you. So we're going to take a look at me going through the chord progression I came up with on chord.com. Here's a little trick that you can try. I'm going to try this one today. I got 4 chords. I'm going to start with 3 for my verse, and I'm going to see if I can throw in that 4th chord for the chorus so I can add a little bit of variety between the verse and the chorus. I'm going to start with some easier strum patterns, and I'm going to mix it up a little bit with what I know, right? I don't want to get too crazy. Just have fun with it. It's kind of a jam session. Just look at it as that. Just have a little bit of fun playing these. Let's see what I come up with. So what I love about the simplicity of this step is we're just using 3 or 4 chords. Do not get crazy, again, thinking that you have to create the world's first unique chord progression. I promise you, there's a very good chance it's been done. Remember, there's so many other musical elements that you're going to add to this to make your own unique twist on this chord progression. So please don't feel like you have to knock it out of the park with the world's first combination of these particular chords. Some of the most popular songs in the world use just 2 or 3 chords throughout the whole song. So I actually found 2 strumming patterns that really stood out to me, and I think I kind of want to hold on to both of them and see if I can use both of them in the song. The song might just end up using one of them, but I'll see, but I like these 2 a lot. Crucial tip alert. Do not throw away these recordings. 30 years from now, when you're this famous songwriter and we're all listening to your music on the radio, you might be looking for some new ideas for your songs. You're probably gonna go back into your archives and see, what did 30 years ago me come up with? You wanna have something to find. So keep these little gems somewhere safe where you can easily find them, whether it's tomorrow or 30 years from now. All right, so in just a few minutes, we came up with our chord progression and the basic rhythmic pattern that we're gonna use for this song. So you might be wondering, the verse and the chorus, do they use the same chords? I mean, yeah, if you want to. A lot of songs use the same chord progression all the way through the song. A lot of them use the same chords. They just mix them up between the chorus and the verse. So for the verse, they might start on one chord, and for the chorus, they'll start on a different chord. For example, Eleanor Rigby, the verse is E minor, C, and then by the time it gets to the chorus, look at all the lonely people, right? All they did was flip the order. So we have our chords, we have our basic rhythm. Let's get the melody. Now, in some of my other videos, I talk about a bunch of methods to come up with an endless amount of melodies. Today, I'm going to use one of my favorite, improvisation. Have you ever caught yourself just making up a song while you're driving, or you're maybe in the shower and just kind of humming to yourself? The fact of the matter is, when you're not consciously trying to come up with a melody, your brain is already a melody-making machine. We're just going to listen to it today. First things first, we're going to record ourselves on the instrument playing the chord progression that we just came up with, right? So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to go back, I'm going to put it on loop. I'm just going to sing over it. Now, when it comes to the improvisation, you might not want to sing. Maybe that's not where you're best at. Maybe you're way more proficient on your instrument than you are singing. So just choose whichever instrument, whether it's your physical instrument or this instrument, right? Use whichever one you feel most proficient in. I'm not worried about how you sound. I'm worried about musicality. Can you actually come up with a melody that you might be able to use? So if you can navigate your way around the instrument expertly, and you can play a bunch of different arpeggios and melodic patterns, feel free. If you're not that proficient with your instrument, or you just want to do what I like to do, sing. And you're going to come up with these different melodic patterns that, again, you don't know they're hiding in here until you get into the groove. We're just going to record ourselves improvising for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then we're going to go back and listen and pick out 2 or 3 melodies that we like. You got one for your verse, you got one for your chorus, and if you have more story to tell, you might also have a melody for your bridge. Just like with the chord progressions, try not to get too crazy with the melody. You don't have to go da 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 da. If you're anything like me, I'm much more proficient on my guitar than I am with my singing voice. And so sometimes I might get carried away with my improvisation, and there's no way I can sing what I play. If that's you, if you're like me, maybe just sing. So I'm going to take a few minutes and I'm going to improvise a melody over the chord progression. I'm going to come back, I'll share what I discovered. And there we have it. I went off camera for about 3 minutes, sang a bunch of different melodies, and I came up with actually 3 melodies that I really like. And again, if I have to, I'll decide between them, or I'll find a way to fit them all into the song. So now I have my chord progression, I have my rhythm, and I have enough melodies for at least 3 song parts. We are almost there, y'all. Just one more thing to do. Now you might be wondering why I saved the song structure for last. I tend to discover song structure through the other musical elements. It's entirely up to you. Play with it, see what works for you. If you want to start with your song structure, I'm actually going to put in the description below a link to a great song structure generator where you can get a whole bunch of ideas and again, outsource some of the work, let that come up with the song structure for you. For today, I'm going to base my song structure simply off of how many strumming patterns and melodies I like. So as we know, I liked 2 of my strumming patterns and I liked 3 melodies. So 3 melodies tells me I actually want 3 parts to my song. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to go with a verse, a chorus, and a pre-chorus. And again, as I flesh out the song, do not think that you can't innovate and change the structure of your song. If you went in saying verse, chorus, well, maybe you have more story to tell. Maybe the song turned out to be 1 minute and 30 seconds long and you wanted it to at least be 2 minutes long. It's okay to add an instrumental break. It's okay to add a bridge. It's okay to add a rap solo, whatever you want to do. Don't box yourself in. If you feel like there's more song to sell, or there's more story to tell it. I'm gonna take like 10 or 15 minutes, right? And just explore different combinations of the 2 strumming patterns and the 3 melodies, but you don't have to go into this blind. I'm gonna use some basic songwriting knowledge to help me with this. First, I know that I'm doing verse, pre-chorus, chorus. Second, I know that the pre-chorus should build up to the chorus. The chorus is the focal point of your song. So I don't want the pre-chorus to be bigger than the chorus. So there's a very good chance that the strumming pattern that I'll use for my pre-chorus, right? That's smaller than. So keep that in mind when you're writing the song, is understanding some of the songwriting elements. A great way to skill up on understanding these songwriting elements, check out my video on analyzing other people's songs, right? Getting a really good sense of what are my favorite artists doing to make their songs stand out, to create structure and division between the different parts. Looking at my 3 melodies, I essentially have 3 degrees of momentum. I have one that uses mostly short notes. I have one that's kind of a mix, and then I have I'll experiment with these, but my initial instinct is to match the melody with the most forward momentum to the chord progression with the most bulk, the most volume, right? So I'm probably not gonna do na 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 na, right? That feels right? Just sit, play, sing some of your melodies, sing one melody at a time, right? Over the different chord progressions, over the different strumming patterns. Take your time, one melody at a time, and just see what feels right. Experiment, have fun, play with it. I feel comfortable with sharing the demo of my song. Let's see what I came up with. Please let yourself be imperfect with this, right? When you're playing it all together, this isn't the final product. I'm not gonna sit here and try to do my best singing voice and do my best guitar playing. I'm just gonna do what I know. I like it. We just wrote a song. We've got everything but the lyrics, which we'll talk about in a minute, but we came up with this in 5 minutes of coming up with chord progressions, about 5 minutes of improvising and selecting melodies, and I would say 10 to 20 minutes, depending on how long it took us, to experiment with those different elements, so around 30 minutes. After we wrap up here, I'm gonna go do the lyric writing exercise in my video about matching lyrics to your melody. Please check that out and let me know if it helps you get across the finish line. And please let me know in the comments below how this went for you. What worked, what didn't work, what felt weird, what was confusing. Let me know and we'll workshop it together and see if we can fine tune. If this works for even one of you and even one song comes out of this and it ends up at the bottom of a barrel of all of your amazing songs, it's still gonna make me happy. So I wanna thank you all for joining me for today's songwriting session. I've been MLY and y'all have been amazing songwriters today. Thank you so much and happy songcrafting.